I'm willing to bet your brand is invisible to ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity right now. Meanwhile, your competitors are getting recommended to shoppers asking, what are the best brands in 2026? And you are still pouring money into meta ads chasing the same people. But there is a way to figure out exactly where you stand and what to fix. And we're going to get into that into this video. First, if you don't know me, my name is Mike Stack, founder of SEOasis. We're an AI era SEO agency built for ecom brands doing anywhere from 100K to 10 million a month. And we help get them ranked #1 on Google and in AI. And so in this video, I'm going to pull up a Shopify store, run some prompts to ChatGPT, and show you exactly why they're invisible and what they would need to do to fix it. So let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen here. So the store I picked here is Mike's Bikes. They're a pretty well-established brand, do decently well on just regular Google organic. So they're already ranking pretty decently from what I can see. And, on the outside, everything looks fine. But as we'll see later, these are the types of brands that typically miss the boat because they think they're doing fine in AI when in fact they're not. So what I'm going to test is whether the brand appears in AI in the first place, how they show up when people are doing competitor comparisons, and then showing up for searches like, is it worth it to buy a bike from Mike's Bikes? And then we're going to look at all the sources that the AI is citing for each one of these types of prompts. So without further ado, we're going to jump into ChatGPT here, and I've got the temporary chat on just so nothing influences the answers we see here. So the first type of prompt I'm going to test is, what are the best product categories in 2026? Very common thing people type into LLMs like this. So in this case, I'm going to search, who are the best online bike retailers in 2026? Going to let that cook, see what it comes up with. So what we're getting here is we're getting a few direct to consumer brands like Polygon and Canyon. And then Jensen, I believe, is a competitor to Mike's Bikes. But importantly here, we're not seeing Mike's Bikes come up. We are seeing, a bunch of Reddit posts pop up, a few listicle blogs here, and probably easier to click into the sources here. So a lot of Reddit here. A lot of listicles, top online bike stores. So what this tells me is that for queries like this, who are the best? ChatGPT is pulling very heavily from Reddit right now, and from listicle type articles, not product pages, collection pages, pages directly from the Mike's Bikes website or even competitor sites. So we'll just put that to the side for now and then get into the next prompts. Duplicate that so we don't lose it. Start a new chat here and turn the temporary chat back on. So in the other chat, Jensen was one of the competitors. So if we just quickly look up Jensen Bikes, they are seemingly a direct competitor to Mike's Bikes, kind of a marketplace retailer. So what we're going to do here is search Mike's Bikes versus Jensen USA. Or I'm going to say which is better, Jensen, Mike's Bikes or Jensen USA. So look at this. I generally give the edge to Jensen for online, where Mike's Bikes is stronger for premium bike purchases. So right off the bat, it's giving the edge to Jensen. And again, if we look at the sources, we're looking at a couple Reddit threads. So I see some Trustpilot in there, interestingly enough, just for Jensen, and actually pulling in some pages directly from the Mike's Bikes site. So that's very interesting. More Trustpilot stuff for Jensen. So we're just kind of getting an idea of like what's being cited, what information is coming in for all these different types of searches for these guys, so that we can make a plan to potentially flip this on its head. And so the next search that we want to do, once we've done these two, is something like, is Mike's Bikes worth buying from? I'm just going to do this in the same thread actually, since it already said to go with Jensen, just because I'm curious. That's the whole point of this audit. Just follow your curiosity, right? Is Mike's Bikes worth it to buy from? So it says yes. I don't think I've ever seen it say no, but you kind of have to read between the lines here and look at like what are the customer complaints and what people actually like about them. And again, look at where this information is getting pulled from. So more Reddit. Now it's pulling in Trustpilot from Mike's Bikes. So we'll probably want to take a look at that and just kind of read through the common complaints. So customer service can be inconsistent, issues with bike setup, Trustpilot reviews are mixed. A lot of like Reddit threads asking, is Mike's Bikes legit? Which could be good, could be bad, depending on what the thread says, right? But overall, the sentiment's pretty good. So that's good for them. The real issue is just getting mentioned over Jensen or any competitor for that matter. So now that we know like different sources that are being cited and where to look, like in Trustpilot and Reddit, next step is to look into those things. Also look into the site, see if there's anything wrong with it in terms of like feeding the right information to ChatGPT, because it was looking directly on the website. When you look at, you can see it's pulling in directly from the website here. So we just have to go into those places and see why, are we not there? What are people saying? What information are we feeding on the site, etc. Quick pause though. If you're an ecom founder doing 100K to 10 million a month and you're watching this thinking, I have no clue if my brand is showing up in AI search, I can help you figure that out. We can jump on a 30-minute strategy chat where we just run through this exact same audit for your store, and you'll walk away knowing exactly where you stand and what's missing and what to fix first. So not going to pitch you, no fluff. We'll just run through this audit together. We did this for Roof Nest, a rooftop tent brand, and the same playbook drove them 182,000 in added organic revenue over 4 months. And we got them ranking #1 on Google for rooftop tent in just 6 weeks. Anyway, the link's in the description below. Book a slot and let us run this audit for you on your store. So back to the video. All right, so back to the website. There's a few things you can do really quickly. Just check their robots TXT file, make sure they're not disallowing the AI crawlers, because that would obviously be a big issue. We know that's not true because we saw them, we saw the sources coming in ChatGPT, but it's always good to double check. You can also look at like the LLMs.txt if they have that. I think Shopify now ships these automatically. There it is. So yeah, if you're not on Shopify, worth checking. These two things, well, having a bad robots TXT file will prevent you from being crawled. LLMs is kind of a nice to have, definitely not necessary, but always worth checking. So the main site here. Then for on-page stuff, first things I always check are schema markup, just right off the bat. So you can see their schema markup is pretty bare here, meaning when a crawler lands on this page from an LLM, basically what these guys are doing is just relying on their H1s and their images and this content to be enough to tell the crawler what the page is about, which is fine, but it's better to tell it directly. Really, the name of the game is just like making it as easy as possible for these crawlers to understand you. So homepage schema is pretty light, and then I would just go directly to a collection page. Look at that schema. Again, very, very light, missing a lot of information. You could very easily, you could add this description text. You could add each product that's listed in the collection. You could add the ratings for each product and the pricing, etc., and just add way more information into that schema so that when a crawler lands on this page, it just has a nice little formatted piece of data to understand exactly what the page is about. So that's more on the technical side. And then on the content side, the content's very, very light. I would write much more comprehensive content around here, probably put it towards the bottom, and then internally link between related, mountain biking pages. So they have a few different types of mountain bikes, and even within cross country, they have full suspension and hardtail. Reason you want to do this and write specific content for each one is when a crawler lands on the page, you have to page like this is fine for a human, because I can look at these bikes and say, okay, this is full suspension. This one's hardtail because it doesn't have the suspension. They're all disc brakes. I can easily see the brands and whatnot. And I probably, if I were into mountain biking, I would probably know a little bit about each brand already, but the LLM crawlers don't have all that information just stored and ready to go. So if you put that content on the page, it's going to much more easily understand everything about the page. Through the internal linking can bounce between a full suspension page, a hardtail page if they had it, the cross-country mountain bikes, all the other mountain bike pages, and just get a really quick idea that, okay, Mike's Bikes, they have a lot of options for mountain biking. Right. So that's all the on-page stuff. We'd also want to go back to here, look at these pages, and just make sure that they're written in a way the LLMs like, question, answer. So you could rephrase a lot of these to be answering a question, to speak in a very positive way. Not that it isn't, but you could always frame everything as in a more positive way so that sentiment comes through in the AI responses. Okay. And then what we want to do is just go through these Reddit threads, right? Is my bike legit? Yes. Okay, that's good. People are saying it's legit. So yeah, it's the largest chain in North California, and it seems like their prices are just kind of unbelievable. People are skeptical, which I guess is a good thing. And then we know that Trustpilot was a big thing, which actually looks very bad. So, clearly the AI crawlers are looking at this because we could see that they were citing this page directly. So it would be very prudent of them to come in here and actually respond to these bad reviews and the positive ones, to be fair, but definitely the bad ones. And, either like give the full story or just be helpful and say, reach out to them and be like, how can we help you? Maybe you can't do that since this was a year ago, but just responding so that the LLMs see that they're active, right? And then I would go just Google search the things that we originally were searching on Google just to see what, Reddit search are popping up. So if we look up best online bike retailers 2026, tons of Reddit threads are popping up. So I would go in here and then search, right? So interestingly, Jensen is right there, has the most upvotes. So that's probably a pretty big contributing factor to us seeing them pop up before. But we can look up Mike's bikes. So they're clearly they're not showing up. I'm control Fing here and nothing's popping up. So what they would need to do is fix those schema markup stuff, add the content, go into these Reddit threads, mention their brand, and then fix the Trustpilot review. If you want the full playbook on this, I put together a free guide called How Your Products Can Appear in LLM Search in 2026. It walks through the exact audit framework. I just used the on-site fixes ranked by impact and the off-site moves that actually move the needle for you. Link is in the description. So let's get back to the audit. Based on what we saw, here's the fix list in priority order. You always want to take your findings from the audit and prioritize them from easiest and highest impact first to hardest and lowest impact last. If your robot's TXT file is blocking crawlers, obviously fix that because there's nothing to do if you don't fix that. That's a pretty rare issue, especially with Shopify. And then you can also add an LLM's text file if you don't have one. Not that that's a huge impact, but it's quick and easy, so why not? From there, fix the schema for sure, because that gives all the relevant information directly to the LLMs in a nice little organized structure to help them understand it better. And that's also a pretty easy fix. So that's low effort, high impact. Then rewrite or add content to every existing collection page. Make sure they're internally linked together. Use the right language and directly answer the questions that people shopping on there have. You definitely need to do that so that when the crawlers find those pages, they can, again, easily understand exactly what the page is about. From there, you have to build an active Reddit presence. Find those Reddit threads ranking for the keywords that you care about. Go in there and mention your brand in one of the comments. Easier said than done because Reddit's a little tricky, but we have a great system for doing that. And we've been doing it consistently for all our clients. Then you'll want to go into Trustpilot, respond to those negative reviews just to show the LLMs you're active, right? And then you want to pursue new review placements, ideally 5 stars. And you can do that by incentivizing people to make reviews for you. And then also do a little bit of PR, get in those listicles that are commonly being cited, as we could see in that first search that we did. And if you hit all those bullets, this site will for sure start surfacing in AI tools, honestly, within weeks, not really months. The Reddit is the quickest lever they can pull. The content and the reviews will solidify them in the AI answers. You now have the exact framework to check your AI visibility and the 5 places to look when your brand is not showing up. The hard part is, of course, what comes next, though. Fixing all the on-site stuff is only half the battle because the AI tools are pulling most of their answers from Reddit threads where your brand is not even mentioned. So watch this next video where I show you how to find those Reddit threads already ranking in your category and exactly how to write comments to get your brand surfaced in ChatGPT, Claude, Google's AI reviews, etc.